I am the Reverend William Levwood, affectionately known as Rev Lev. My pronouns are he and him, and I have the privilege of serving as Accotink Unitarian Universalist Church's minister. And whether you're joining us in person or online, let's center ourselves for worship by taking a deep breath together. We open and welcome to the ancestral people of this land, acknowledging that our church, like all of Burke, rests on the unceded territory of the Manahoac tribe of the Great Sioux Nation. We seek healing and the realization of justice with the people of this land who live on in their descendants, the present-day members of the Patawomic Indian tribe of Virginia, the Monacan Indian Nation, and the Piscataway Indian Nation. We honor the ancestors as we move toward healing so that all together shall one day know full justice.
And with that, welcome to Accotink Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Sheila Doles, and I'm happy to be your worship associate today. If you aren't new to Accotink, look around. Do you see people you haven't met or haven't spoken to in a while? These people like you and want to meet you. Help us live up to our mission to be a welcoming and inclusive spiritual home for all by reaching out and making a connection. By visiting this congregation, newcomers are in a transition moment, and people in transitions are more open to new friendships. That means that your new best friend might be here this morning, and this is your chance to get to know them. Whether you're a longtime member or a newcomer or something in between, we encourage you to stay for our social hour online and in person immediately after the service. We're so delighted that you decided to join us today.
So we've started a practice of sharing good news in every service. Thank you again to John Peterson, our Social Justice Committee chair, for finding these snippets of good news. Anybody worried about the government shutdown? The good news is that polling shows that Americans blame Trump and Republicans for the shutdown by a wide 17-point margin, including half of independents. It also shows that the American people overwhelmingly support extending the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, tax credits. And another piece of good news, a district court in Massachusetts found that deporting legal aliens for protesting the treatment of Palestinians violates the Free Speech Amendment of the Constitution. So that's our good news for this week. Last Sunday, we had our annual Blessing of the Animals and explored humanity's unique call to cultivate compassion and care for Earth and all beings. Cultivating compassion is our theme this month, so next Sunday we'll look deeper at suffering and its relationship to compassion. You've likely heard the saying, hurt people, and that can be true, but it's also true, or can be true, as Muslim rapper Brother Ali puts it, that hurt people can also heal people. So we'll explore both of those possibilities in next Sunday's service. Today, in my sermon, I'm going to be talking about how we're called to meet the moment in this political crisis. We've been inspired by the UU Church in North Shore, Illinois, outside of Chicago, to develop a campaign to direct our energies, especially our social justice energy, to defending our democracy. Because as UUSJ's executive director, Pablo de Jesus, reminded us from this pulpit 2 Sundays ago, we belong to each other. So today, we're going to look at how compassion calls us to take action for justice. As Cornel West wrote, expressing the heart of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's message and mission, justice is what love looks like in public. So that's what we're going to explore in today's service. And if compassion is going to lead us to bringing justice into the world, we're going to need to build a new way. So we're going to sing that song in a moment, but first I want to invite you to rise in body or in spirit for our chalice lighting. The words are going to be on your screen. We're going through our new 6 UU values slowly. So these words in the middle part is the words for our value of generosity. So let's say it all together. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. As an expression of the value of generosity, we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us one to another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love.
We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way.
So I'm sharing a series of Time for All Ages this year, one a month, featuring the character Dorothea Sophia. This one is called Dorothea Sophia and the Stray Cat. My name is Dorothea Sophia. Weird name, I know. My dad's a UU minister, so I was named after 2 famous Unitarian Universalists, Dorothea Dix and Sophia Lyon Foz. You can just call me Dot. Now, I've heard stories about how fierce my parents' cat once was, tussling with raccoons at 2 a.m. in the morning and winning. But by the time I was 7, she was 16 years old. And this once fierce mama bear of a wild cat now spent most of her time sleeping. And one day, she just didn't come home. My parents think she knew it was her time and went to find a quiet place to wait in peace for her time to come. Animals do that sometimes. I wanted to get a new cat right away, but my dad said no. I think he was grieving. That cat was like my parents' first child. Then one day, just a few days before Halloween, some college kids came to our door. I think we found your cat. We'd put up signs, but it had been over a month. Still, we went out to the alley behind our house to look just in case. It was just getting dark, so my dad opened his car to find a flashlight. And that's when the cat, a tabby, just like our old cat, hopped into his car. But this wasn't our cat. And an adventurous, friendly cat like this, we thought for sure he was just out for an evening stroll around the neighborhood before heading home for dinner. But even though we put up signs around the neighborhood and on all the internet sites, no one claimed him. So I named him Pumpkin on account of his showing up right before Halloween and, well, you know, being orange. Now, you might think I'm telling you all this because I want you to take care of stray cats. Like, that's the compassionate thing to do. My dad's the minister. Remember? Not me. It hasn't always been easy with my cat. He's a bit of a rascal. I don't know if that's because he was living on the streets for a while or if that's just his nature. My dad says he's like a guy who knows he's good looking. Cuddly and affectionate when it suits him, but standoffish and even mean at other times. I've gotten a few scars from him I'll be able to talk about at parties when people play that tell the story of how you got your scars game. But even so, I don't know who got the better end of the deal, me or my cat. When I'm super sad or lonely or anxious or scared, he knows. I don't know how he knows, but he knows. And he always knows just how to comfort me. I don't know how he knows just what to do, but he does every time. Sometimes it's a nuzzle. Sometimes he curls up on my lap. Sometimes he's just annoying, wanting to play or begging for a treat. But every time, every single time, it's just what I need to help me through my funk. I think that's how it is when new people come into your life. And yes, I did just call my cat people. What of it? Some people act like they're doing the other person a favor by being even halfway nice to the new person. But I know it's those of us who are already here who should be grateful. We shouldn't think we're giving some great gift when we welcome cats or people into our lives. The truth is, we're the one receiving a gift.
The Low Road by Marge Piercy. What can they do to you? Whatever they want. They can set you up. They can bust you. They can break your fingers. They can burn your brain with electricity, blur you with drugs till you can't walk, can't remember. They can take your child, wall up your lover. They can do anything you can't stop them from doing. How can you stop them? Alone, you can fight, you can refuse, you can take what revenge you can, but they roll over you. But two people fighting back to back can cut through a mob. A snake dancing file can break a cordon. An army can meet an army. Two people can keep each other sane, can give support, conviction, love, massage, hope, sex. Three people are a delegation, a committee, a wedge. With four, you can play bridge and start an organization. With six, you can rent a whole house, eat pie for dinner with no seconds, and hold a fundraising party. A dozen make a demonstration. 100 fill a hall. 1,000 have solidarity and your own newsletter. 10,000 power and your own paper. 100,000 your own media. 10 million your own country. It goes on one at a time. It starts when you care to act. It starts when you do it again after they said no. It starts when you say we and know who you mean, and each day you mean one more.
The poet Marge Piercy asks, "What can they do to you?" And she answers, "Whatever they want. They can do anything you can't stop them from doing." It's heavy, scary, terrifying even. Especially after she lays out her litany. Break your fingers, drug you, take your lover, take your child from you. There are many reasons why nonviolent resistance is more effective than violent revolution. Only one of which is because they, especially when the they is the state, have more firepower than we could ever hope to have. Apologies to the Americans who hold so tight to their Second Amendment right to own firearms. As the rapper Andre Benjamin puts it in an Outkast song from 1996, they have a gat that can blow out our backs from where they stay at. What power do we have? The poet Marge Piercy helps us answer that question. Two people, she tells us, might be able to escape a mob, and in a longer, drawn-out crisis, two people can give each other support. A little pleasure in the long, dark night, a little relief from the mounting tension can strengthen each other's resolve, can keep each other's hopes up. So I invite you to ask yourself, who is your crisis companion? Maybe it's your spouse, or maybe a family member, maybe a close friend. They might be here in this sanctuary with you right now, or maybe they're a phone call away. Two is just the beginning, though. Marge Piercy tells us we need enough to form a committee. Anyone here serve on a committee at Accotink? Raise your hand. She says we need enough to hold a fundraiser. Anyone here going to the auction next Saturday? Bidding on items already online? Keep your hand up if you're already bidding. Raise your hand. She says we need enough to fill a hall. Raise a hand if you're here in the sanctuary today, or on Zoom if you're joining us online. Enough to start an organization. Let's give a huge thank you to those who founded this congregation, and a huge thank you to all of you who are members of this church community who keep it going to this day. I hope you enjoy the pie at the potluck, and that there's none left after you're done learning about pronouns. It is scary right now. As UUSJ's Executive Director Pablo de Jesus described 2 Sundays ago, we are in the midst of an authoritarian takeover. Police forces have been militarized, and the military is being sent to police our cities, including right here in our backyard in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. And our president has made it clear he is willing to enact the Insurrection Act, not because anyone other than his administration is threatening the integrity of our nation, but as a power grab fueled by false fear-mongering. Undocumented immigrants are being deported in droves. Those legally here seeking asylum are also being deported en masse. And even U.S. citizens have been caught up in the draconian net of ICE's new kind of Cold War. What's cooler than being cool? Andre Benjamin asks, an Outkast hit, Hey Ya, from near the turn of the century. Does anybody know the answer? Ice cold is the response. It's lighthearted in the song, but imagine, to me now it sounds like the choral response in a Greek tragedy with a dad joke pun to clarify the meaning. Ice cold, as in I to the C to the E, ice cold. As Pablo put it 2 Sundays ago, this is no longer only about political or policy differences. This is now about what it means to be American, to belong to this great, optimistic, humanistic experiment in democracy. And there is an undercurrent of hate, a powerful current of hatred that's threatening to pull our nation into the undertow, starting by dragging the most vulnerable out to sea, trapping them underwater, breathless in the grip of a vengeful sea god or monster, a leviathan of distrust, lies, and cruelty. This vengeful Poseidon is coming for the most vulnerable first, but we know the monster won't stop there. Again, I'm reminded of Pablo telling us, bottom line, everyone is at risk. Everyone who belongs to our tribe of optimists is being targeted. Climate justice activist organizations and racial justice advocate organizations and networks of agitators for LGBTQ equality and rights, defenders of the dignity of trans people and the caring systems they have developed, advocacy agencies for the poor, DACA recipients, and even the dreamers, as well as refugees and asylum seekers, even the children, he reminded us, especially the kids, he said, and the families that rear them, and the lawyers, he continued, and the judges, and the doctors, and the clergy, and the social workers, and the civil servants, and the scientists. What can they do to us? Whatever they want. Together in twos and threes, fours and fives, together the nearly 200 members of this congregation, together we can weather the storm, keep our heads above water. Maybe, at least for now. At our community-wide discussion a few Sundays ago, you told me, your minister, and your social justice leaders that you want this kind of support from this community, this support keeping our head above water, because we need each other, because we belong to each other. You asked for more good news, more lifting up of gratitude for the good things in life, the simple pleasures, the human connections that keep us going. In this Defending Our Democracy campaign that we are making together, we're calling that choosing hope. We're calling that embodying communal resilience. Those, by the way, are upcoming Soul Matters monthly themes that we'll be exploring in depth in December and February, respectively. Choosing hope. Embodying resilience together. That's one part of the comprehensive plan your minister and a small group of your social justice leaders have put together in response to your feedback to help us defend our democracy. You also told us you want to actively resist the authoritarian takeover of our country, to band together with others to make a mass movement of nonviolent resistance of the size and power needed to counter the gigantic force of a nation that is directing its firepower against its own citizens. We know that's doable. It's not going to be easy, and none of us can do it alone, but it can be done. It is within our reach if we band together, if we know what we mean when we say we, and every day we mean one more. If we help to birth a movement of solidarity of the 99% against the super rich 1%. Too many of our fellow citizens have been duped into endorsing this hostile takeover, but no one is benefiting from it except for the super rich. And I don't like putting everyone in one box, so let's say those among the super rich who don't give a good goddamn about anyone but themselves and their bottom line. And their bottom line has the rest of us at the bottom of the ocean, sleeping with the fishes, or at best, drowning under the weight of poverty and oppression. So to oppose that, the first step is to show up in active resistance. And this congregation is going to help you do that in two ways. We're going to let you know about the ways to protest on the street corners, the highway overpasses, and downtown in our nation's capital. Those of you who aren't volunteering for our Nearly Native Garden Workday next Saturday can join your fellow Accotinkers who are showing up for Saturday's No King's Day protests here in Fairfax County and then downtown. And actually, you could go early and do a couple hours at the garden and then head downtown. Oh, it's been canceled? Well, that's even better. You don't have to worry about it. We expect to see you at one of these protests. If you're interested in the protest, you can get in touch with Dottie Smith. Let's have these people stand for a moment so people can know who you are. Dottie Smith, Pam Cox, Dale Howell, or Suzanne Doherty. So check in with them after the service so you can find out if you want to protest here locally on a street corner or on the overpass. I'm not going downtown to DC myself, so I'm going to do one of those. And then check with those, all four of those people are going to go downtown, but at different times so that you can catch them at a different moment to go downtown. And don't worry, this Accotinker group is going to be back from DC in time for the auction. That's this coming Saturday, but we're going to keep keeping you informed about all the protests, big and small. If you want to show up at the smaller protests that happen every week, get yourself on our advocacy list so you can be kept informed about how to do that. If you just feel called or are only able to show up at the bigger protests, you can also sign up on the advocacy list, but you don't need to just for that because we're going to keep letting you know about the big protest in the newsletter, on our magnetic boards, and from this pulpit. And we know some of you told us you can't participate in protests, or not that many, and you want help knowing how to resist from your home and in the marketplace. So you can sign up for our advocacy list to get updates on letter writing campaigns as well. You can look for our Right Here, Right Now. That's a UUSJ program that allows you to write letters about upcoming legislation. You can use the 5 Calls app to know how to make calls to your legislators to make a difference. And we're going to put a list of corporations that you might want to boycott. You might not want to buy from because they've buckled under the pressure to dismantle their DEI initiatives, and a list of where you might want to spend your money, a list of businesses who've doubled down on staying committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. You can always participate in our Get Out the Vote postcarding efforts. We've been doing that for years, and in the thousands of postcards. Obviously, you can vote your conscience. But more than that, you can encourage others in your life to vote. Friends, family, coworkers. You can encourage them to write letters, to make phone calls, to boycott businesses, to help get out the vote, to vote themselves. A few Earth Days ago, my sermon was titled, How to Be an Environmentalist. Because doing one action doesn't make that much of a difference. But when you communicate with others about that action, then it ripples out into the world. So these are some of the ways you can participate in resistance in the midst of your daily life, from your home, in the marketplace. And some of us told you you want to participate in protests, but it's scary, and you need a courage buddy. Well, we got you. If you show up with Accotinkers, if you contact one of those people who was just standing up to show up on the street corner or the overpass or downtown, you'll have a whole cohort of courage buddies keeping you safe at protests because we belong to each other. And I also invite you to look for an announcement of a training about how to protest safely both at big protests and safely and effectively at actions where you can participate in nonviolent, non-cooperative civil disobedience. So look for that. We're hoping to host that training in early December. We need to resist. We need to stop this takeover from happening. Well, it's already happening, and it's causing much suffering already. So we also need to help our neighbors through direct mutual aid. And we do some of that already with our meal packs for food insecure children, with our hosting of a hypothermia shelter for the unhoused for a week, sometimes 2, every winter. But we can and we need to do more. If you're a federal worker and you need emotional support, we can put you in touch with a UU support group. If you're a federal worker and you need financial support, I have a discretionary fund. Nobody ever uses it. That means it's really healthy. So if you need financial support, please let me know. We can help you out.
I'm a therapist. I'm also running 2 groups for federal workers and family members, both in person and online.
Awesome.
Completely free.
We'll get
Insurance needed, any of it.
We'll get you information about those groups as well. We also have our collection for Food Justice DMV to help out our immigrant neighbors by providing them with basics like food, diapers, and menstrual supplies. It's also possible to volunteer through Food Justice DMV to deliver food directly to immigrants, those who don't feel safe enough to leave their homes to get their own groceries. If you're interested in that, Pam Cox can help you get involved in that effort. And we know that the LGBTQ plus community is being targeted. So we are getting to work, we're getting the word out through our community contacts there about our Friendsgiving, which we do every year. And every year we get the word out to let people know that they're welcome here in this sanctuary. No one of us can do it all, but each of us can do something. I'm going to bring you all some good news. We'll lift up our gratitudes. We'll celebrate our wins. Together we'll choose hope. But honestly, I don't need that so much. It's not that I'm hopeless. It's just, I don't know, I guess I'm pretty comfortable with the fact that there's suffering in the world. But I do what I can, and that's enough for me. So what I'm saying is that good news isn't what I need. That's what some of you need, and so some of you need to seek that out, and we're going to help do that. And I could facilitate a support group for federal workers. That's in my wheelhouse. I have that kind of skill, but we already have those groups, so we're going to send you to the ones that already exist. And I can help with practical support, like organizing, collecting food, or delivering that food, but I have to admit, I'm not particularly good at that kind of organization. It's not my strong suit. I could also organize all on my own a Friendsgiving meal. Again, it's not my strong suit, but I could do it. But I don't have to because True Accotink Colors has that covered. So all I have to do my part is to show up. And I have to admit, I don't even love going to protests, especially downtown. I have to drive to the metro and then wait for the metro and then get on the metro for about an hour and then walk to the protest, and then you have to do all of that again in reverse. Although I must admit, I do have a good time once I get to the metro because for the rest of the time, I'm with Accotinkers, hanging out and doing the good work together. So even though that's not the thing I'm best at, I'm going to show up some of the time because we all need to do that. I'm going to go to the bigger protests, maybe a smaller protest here and there as well. We need a big tent. We need a whole heck of a lot of people to join the ranks and show up. Research shows that it takes up to 3.5% of a population to take down a dictatorship. In the US, that would be about 12 million people. And for elections, we need even more people to show up. To get this big tent, we need to counter the extreme partisan polarization in this nation. I preached about that 3 Sundays ago, so I know a little bit about how to do that. about how to talk across the political divide. And I'm interested in learning more and then sharing that learning with y'all. That's another thing you said you want more help with, knowing how to talk across the political divide to counter polarization. So we're going to be organizing discussions, maybe an afternoon workshop or a book study or all of the above. So that's what I'm going to sink my teeth into and do a lot of work on. You see what I'm getting at? None of us have to do it all. If you need good news, find it and share it with others. If you're good at building community, help out with our monthly potluck. Help us gather in fellowship together to lift our spirits. If you're good at practical stuff, collect food and diapers for our immigrant neighbors and for those hit hardest by the worsening of our economy and the gutting of our social services. If you're good at throwing a party, help host Friendsgiving. Let our LGBTQ plus neighbors know we see and honor their sacredness. Counter the hateful narratives and actions by showing your support in that way. If you love going to protests, get out there and encourage others to get out there too. If you want to do a deep dive into how to counter polarization, join me in learning and then sharing with this community how to do that. There's a lot that needs doing. So here's what I'm committing to. I will go to protests, not every week, but once or twice a month. 1 or 2 bridge brigades or street corner sign holdings. And I commit to going to big protests as well. I commit to using the templates to write letters. I commit to making a few phone calls. I commit to avoiding certain businesses when I'm doing my Christmas shopping based on the list that other Accotinkers provide for me. I even commit to pick up a few things when I'm at the grocery store to donate to Food Justice DMV or the meal packing we do here at Accotink. See, even as busy as I am as a minister and a parent with a child, there's still a lot that I need to commit to. I'm also going to listen to music that keeps my spirits up. I guess I do need my spirits kept up. I just do it through music. Not Taylor Swift, actually. In these challenging times, it's hip-hop and chant, that music that I listen to keep my spirits up. And I'm going to counter polarization the easy way by participating in next Sunday's Homes for All Assembly, and I really hope that you'll join me there. None of us can do it all, but each of us can do something, and each and every one of us must do something. And this congregation is here to help you engage. That's why we're organizing this campaign to defend our democracy, because we belong to each other. Say it. We belong to each other. That's what democracy means. We belong to each other. And because we belong to each other, we're going to show up for each other. We're going to keep our hopes up. We're going to choose hope. We're not going to let anyone take that hope away. We're going to support the most vulnerable. We're going to resist. We're going to show up for protests. We're going to write letters and phone calls. And we're going to draw the circle wide. We're going to reach out to our neighbors. We're going to learn to talk across the divides with a commitment to our values and with humility and the practice of deep listening. We're going to connect with our neighbors, asking them to share their stories with us, asking them to share the experiences that have shaped them. And then we'll share our stories too. None of us can do it all, but each of us can do something. Each and every one of us must do something. I've shared with you how this community is going to help all of us together defend our democracy. I've shared with you what I'm going to do myself to defend our democracy. I want you to ask yourself today, what commitments will you make? What are you going to do to defend our democracy? Because we belong to each other. Say it again. We belong to each other. And together we can and we will defend our democracy. Together we will build a land where justice shall roll down like waters and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land where hope is born, a land with homes for all people, Come with me, let's build a land, my friends, the land that we seek. Come, build a promised land that can be. May it be so, and may we be among those who make it so.
Build a land where the chalice of justice, a cup overflowing, warms places once bleak, where the flame of compassion shines forever. Oh, we'll build a land where the people they see. Come, build a land where siblings and neighbors, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice is flowed down like water, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
So please rise now in body or in spirit and join in our closing words. As we extinguish our chalice, I invite you to join me in our community blessing with these words of David Bumbaugh. This church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences and beneath all our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time, death, and the space between the stars. We pause now in silent witness to that unity. Now that we've gathered together in this welcoming and inclusive spiritual home, let us go out into the world inspired to share our values.